From the Lake Nyos gas disaster that silently killed 1,746 people in a single night, and the 1958 Lituya Bay Mega-Tsunami that created the tallest wave ever recorded in human history, to the 1987 Saragossa tornado that struck with less than 60 seconds of warning, here are 5 natural disasters that left no warning. Lake Nyos, Cameroon, West Africa. August 21, 1986, around 9 o'clock at night, the lake exploded with gas. 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide erupted from the surface and rolled silently across the ground into every village within 25 kilometers. The gas was invisible. It had no smell, and it was heavier than air, so it stayed low, flooding every home, every road, every valley, like an invisible river of death. You can see the peaceful green hills and small villages surrounding the lake. This is what the area looked like before. Ordinary farmland, quiet homes. Now imagine an invisible wall of gas flooding all of it in complete darkness while everyone slept. For centuries, volcanic activity deep beneath the lake had been slowly pumping carbon dioxide into the cold water at the bottom. Because the lake sits near the equator, the water layers never mix. The gas kept building for hundreds of years, trapped under pressure, like a bottle of carbonated water shaken for centuries. One night, something disturbed the layers. Scientists believe a landslide triggered it. The lake released everything at once. 1,746 people were killed in a single night. Lituya Bay, Alaska. July 9, 1958. 10:15 at night. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck and shook the mountains surrounding the bay so violently that 90 million tons of rock broke loose and dropped 3,000 feet straight into the water. The impact was heard 50 miles away. The splash it created became a wave unlike anything ever seen before in recorded history. You can see the bay surrounded by steep cliffs and a glacier at the far end. This is where the rock fell. The wave that followed tore across the entire bay at over 100 miles per hour, stripping forests off hillsides and leaving nothing but bare rock behind. Lituya Bay sits directly next to a major earthquake fault. The steep cliffs and the narrow shape of the bay created the perfect trap. When the earthquake broke those cliffs loose, the falling rock had nowhere to go but into the water, and the water had nowhere to go but up and outward. The wave reached a run-up height of 1,720 feet along the hillside. That is taller than the Empire State Building. It is the tallest tsunami ever recorded in human history. Mount Unzen, Japan. June 3, 1991, the volcano's lava dome collapsed. 1.5 million cubic meters of superheated rock, gas, and ash broke apart and came roaring down the mountainside at over 100 miles per hour. This was a pyroclastic flow, not lava, something far faster and far more deadly. You can see a massive dark cloud exploding down the slope, swallowing trees, roads, and fields in seconds. It moves like it is alive, twisting and shifting direction without any warning. What you are seeing is not even the main part of the flow. The deadliest section was just out of frame, and this alone was enough to destroy everything in its path. Mount Unzen sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Pressure had been building inside the volcano for weeks. The lava dome at the summit gave way under its own weight, and everything came down at once. The flow was so large that it overflowed into neighboring valleys beyond where cameras could even capture it. 43 people were killed. The town nearby was buried and remains barren wasteland to this day. Rapid City, South Dakota. June 9, 1972. A massive storm system parked directly over the Black Hills and refused to move. Over 15 inches of rain poured onto the same small area in just a few hours. Every creek and river in the region exploded over its banks at the same time. You can see entire houses being swept downstream like cardboard boxes. cars stacked on top of each other. Bridges snapped clean away. The water is not flowing. It is charging, dark and violent, carrying everything the city once had. An upstream dam also failed that night, sending another massive wall of water into what was already an unstoppable flood. 238 people were killed. Over 1,300 homes were completely destroyed. Entire campgrounds along Rapid Creek were wiped off the map. Campers who had gone to sleep hours earlier simply never woke up. The amount of water that tore through Rapid City that night was equal to the entire city's normal yearly water supply, released all at once in the dark. Saragossa, Texas. May 22, 1987, a massive multi-vortex tornado with winds over 200 miles per hour touched down 1 mile outside of town. Inside the local community hall, families had gathered for a children's graduation celebration. Someone looked out the window, saw it coming, and screamed. You can see the tornado wrapped in a thick curtain of rain, nearly invisible until it was almost on top of the town. It is wide, violent, and fast. The sky around it has turned a deep, sickish green. Tornadoes almost never strike this part of Texas. The desert location and surrounding mountains usually prevent the conditions needed. But that evening, strong winds pushed Gulf moisture deep into West Texas, while dry air moved in from above, creating a perfect storm. The National Weather Service had issued a tornado warning 26 minutes before impact. But with no sirens, no emergency system, every single child in the room survived because the parents and teachers around them used their own bodies as shields. To understand how concentrated the destruction was, the tornado was only on the ground for 3 miles and lasted just 13 minutes. In those 13 minutes, it took 30 lives, destroyed every building in the eastern section of town, and threw cars over 1,000 feet through the air. The warning existed, the sirens did not, and that difference cost 30 people their lives. 5 disasters, 5 moments when nature gave no warning and took everything in seconds. The ground beneath a lake, the rock above a bay, the slopes of a volcano, the hills above a sleeping city, a storm in a desert that nobody thought was possible. Nature does not always announce itself. Sometimes it just arrives. If you made it this far, drop a comment below with the disaster that shocked you the most. And if you want to see more stories like these, subscribe to our channel. We make top natural disaster videos